Hi there, this is Alex Steeping for Trademarkia and Daniel Meursing for Premier Staff. How you doing, Daniel?
Good. Good morning. I'm doing well. Having a great day. I'm excited to be on the show.
Fantastic. I'm stoked. This is one of my first interviews, and we're going to be talking about intellectual property, branding, copyrights. But for viewers and listeners, tell us about your business. How did it start? What does it focus on?
Yeah. So basically, my business is called Premier Staff. We focus on we're basically an employment agency, and our niche that we focus on is event staffing, luxury event staffing. That's where we started. We've done is luxury events here in Hollywood, New York City, Miami, and so forth. Basically, Premier Staff. I was working in New York City as a model, and I would pick up side gigs. Basically, I would get hired for model catering staff, and I would get hired as a brand ambassador in New York City. And basically, I would work events for Armani, Calvin Klein. We do a lot of after parties for their fashion shows. We would do pop-up events for like Reeboks. So I worked for a few months in New York City. And basically, when I came back to LA, I found another staffing agency that focuses on event staffing. And one of the first events they put me on was for Amazon. It was basically a Golden Globes Amazon after party. Jeff Bezos was there. I actually got assigned to be Jeff Bezos' shadow. And anywhere Jeff Bezos went, this was actually with his girlfriend before he got divorced. What is her name? Something Sanchez. Um, I forget her first name, but basically it was him, his girlfriend, and a couple of her friends. Anywhere Jeff and his group went, I had to follow them. Anything they needed, I had to get for them. And so I just took care of him at his own party. Jeff was basically like the celebrity of celebrities at these events. Every single person there was an A-lister, and then they were all looking to try to talk to Jeff because I think he was the richest person on earth at that point in time. And basically, I took care of Jeff the entire night. He leaves fairly early. I'm standing around supporting the rest of my team, and while I'm offering support to my team, I get my first client basically to ask. He basically came up to me, a very unassuming guy. You would never expect this of him, but he's basically a billionaire from Mexico City. He's the largest contemporary art collector in all of South America, and basically he asked me to start staffing his art events. And I said, sure, I can do that. And that's pretty much how Premiere started with that one client, at this super cool, amazing event. And basically just ran with that opportunity. And the opportunity kind of fell in my lap, and I said yes, and I ran with it. And we've now blown it up to we've done luxury event staffing in multiple cities. We are now expanding to doing out of the luxury niche. We're doing luxury still, but we're also expanding to also doing like live events, festivals, and so forth, and providing all the crowd management staff for all these bigger type events as well. So one of the big events we're actually working on right now is for Messi, the soccer player Messi. They're basically doing an immersive experience. There's like 10 different activations. You pay like $25, $30, and you get to experience in this live immersive experience with Messi, basically. He's obviously not there, but it's a virtual thing. And you get to feel like you're playing soccer with him and taking photos with him. And it's a whole thing. So that's like 4 months long. We're doing the activation in LA. So that's pretty much where we are now. This is what we're focused on. This is what we're expanding into. And that's basically how Premiere came to be. And that's where we are now.
Amazing, amazing. What a cool story. So what was the process when you were designing on a company name, on a trademark, on a logo, on the graphic identification?
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely knew I wanted to focus on the luxury market. I did it in New York City. I was doing it here in LA. I was working for the richest person on earth. That's basically how the company started. So we definitely wanted to project this elevated staff or this elevated experience at events. Like basically, we wanted to focus on the luxury niche. And basically, I honestly looked at other modeling. I looked at modeling agencies all around the world, all the top agencies in every big city. And there's actually a modeling agency called Premier Models or something. And that's where I realized I didn't use the word premier in my company name, and I got a lot of inspiration from that company. I don't think they're too big, honestly. But they have a great name, and I thought, this is a great idea to run with. I think now Premier Staff is definitely much bigger than their modeling agency in London. But yeah, so that I basically just found a bunch of different companies internationally, modeling agencies, just any elevated luxury type of a company, and create a list of all the different names. And I try to get inspiration from those. And I finally finalized the Premier Staff name, and realized like it communicates exactly what we want. It's very straightforward. We provide luxury elevated premier staff. So yeah, I realized the name is important. It needs to communicate who we are. Um, yeah, and so I thought that was like the perfect name to run with, and honestly, it's worked out very well for us.
Great, great. Yeah, congratulations on that. Um, how about you? I remember during our previous conversation, you were referencing going all in, committing to the business concept, investing in the domain name. Could you run that by us again?
Yeah, absolutely. So um, I think I was like 23 when I first started the company. I basically had no partners, no investors, and the domain name cost I think about $4,000. And to be honest, I probably had like $4,000 to my name at that time. Like, and I had to build the website. I had to, you know, feed myself. I had to invest in everything and anything possible related to starting the business. And so I actually realized that the domain is the most important because it's the most credibility. Like if you don't have a proper domain, I'm sorry, if you don't have a proper domain that matches your name or it's your brand, your domain is your brand. So if you don't have a good domain, you do not have good credibility. So like I said, I was 23. I was young. This was my first business. Like, what credibility do I possibly have? So basically, I realized that when you're starting a company, your domain is the most important um, thing that associates you. It's your brand. Your domain is your brand. It is the most important thing. It establishes credibility. It shows people that you're serious, that you're real, that you are official, basically. So I was 23. I had no partners, no investors. My first business. Like, what do I know about business? And so I realized like I had to go big on the website, I had to go big on the domain, and I had to make myself look official. And the best way to do that was getting the official best domain I could possibly get. And I basically went big and invested all the money I had. It was like $4,000 is what it cost me. I think it's actually pretty cheap in hindsight. And basically, I invested in it. I think a lot of my friends and parents and uncles thought it was crazy for spending $4,000 on a domain. But it definitely was not. It was worth it. I would pay 3x that. Even at that point in time, I would find a way to finance it or something because I had that brand name. I was able to establish myself as with that domain. I can now also be Premier Staff, right? Like my company's Premier Staff, and then my domain is premierstaff.com. It's very just in sync with each other. And as I mentioned, going with that name was very valuable to me. I basically would go out. I live in LA, so I'd go out to a lot of these exclusive clubs or events, lounges, and stuff like this. And people naturally ask me what I do for a living, and I would tell them I have a staffing agency, and like they would ask me what the name of the company was. I would say it's called Premier Staff, and then they would be like, "Oh, you know what? I think I've heard of you guys," and they think they know who we are because the name is so good and so easy to remember. Um, what was that? That effect that you were mentioning
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
credit
So,
sauce
the Mandela effect, where
Mandela
someone
effect.
will assume a a media icon, some name, a movie element, something out of mass culture actually occurred, like a character having braces in a James Bond movie, and it turns out, or like
Mhm.
the pancakes syrup logo type, and people will assume something actually existed because it was such a strong suggestion, and it's so much in line with what you would expect but it's not actually, but it rings a bell despite not actually being based in reality. So this is the case with such a great name as a Premier Staff.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, I think the main thing, the main takeaway there is it's aligned with what you would expect. It's like such a no-brainer that you just expect it. So of course it's like an established company that's been around. And so just instantly, just by word of mouth, I was able to book like a Golden Globes after party where basically like there's 750 celebrities at this late night affair that went on to like 4 a.m. Like Megan Fox, Vin Diesel, Jamie Foxx. Absolutely no cameras allowed. It was very private lists. My team was in charge of checking everyone in, the bartenders, the greeters, all of it. So like just quickly, just because people thought they knew who my company was, and they've heard of us and they liked me, and they just like basically hired us for these really exclusive like parties and events. It's kind of crazy. People would like ask me like, how did you get these events? And I really think, my brand name helped close a deal and establish that credibility. That brand name, the domain, like it's all super important. They all go together and they're absolutely vital for a company.
Great, great. That's really important information and a great takeaway for viewers and listeners. How about designing the logo type? What is the process there? Choosing the font and that type of stuff.
Yeah, so I actually rebranded a year and a half ago. But early on, I definitely have no creative skills. Artistically, that's not my lane. I definitely struggled there. I definitely asked, I found people for support. I hired someone for support. And basically, I took inspiration from Cartier. They have a very luxury font. So basically, I took the concept and got inspiration from Cartier, and then I kind of tweaked it a little bit for Premier Staff. It's not the exact font, but it's very similar. A lot of the letters are similar, and I changed, a few of the letters and so forth. So it flowed for the brand. But yeah, like I said, I was on a budget, and you have to be resourceful. You have to, invest a lot more time and energy when you don't have the funds to invest. And I just basically did a lot more of the work myself. And like I said, it wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And yeah, the logo process, like you really have to know your brand. You really have to know what you want to communicate and convey to your audience, to your ideal customer profile. You have to figure out who your ideal customer profile is, and then you have to find a way to convey this brand in a way that they'll receive it. So, yeah, definitely a tedious process, but it's also vital and important. It's synonymous with your brand name. It's if you want to have a good brand name, you also have to have a good logo. Like it's super important because this is how people recognize you.
Great advice from a successful business owner. Daniel, tell me more about growing your business and establishing it by rubbing shoulders, word of mouth, and the vicinity theory. I think that's what you referred to.
Oh yeah. So I'm a big believer in I don't know what the exact term is, but it's basically I call it like a law of I call it a law of vicinity because I can't remember the name. But basically proximity is what it is.
So,
Uh
yeah.
like, basically if you are in proximity with someone, you're likely to engage with them in some capacity. You're likely to find opportunities for you guys to basically find a next step for you guys, whether it's business, social, person, friendship, whatever it is. So proximity is like super important. So when I first started the company and we were still like building out the website and working on the marketing component of it, I went to every single event possible I could think of, like any invitation. I just went out and exposed myself to everyone, met everyone, because people cannot do business if they do not know who you are. I'm sorry, people cannot do business with you if they do not know who you are. So it's important for you to get out there. It's important for you to get in proximity with people and introduce yourself, let people know who you are, and that's how you get more business, especially at the beginning. If you're on a tight budget, this is extremely important. Even if you don't have a budget, it's important to get yourself out there, whether it's through marketing channels, in person, live events, whatever it is. You need to get your name out there, not only your personal name, but your brand name and your company name, and share with people what you do. And the more you do that, the more you just naturally, organically increase the odds of you getting more business because more people now know who you are. If no one knew who you were, absolutely zero chance of getting business. So it's super important to be in proximity with the type of people that you want to hire you.
Great. More great advice. You were referencing using the Google services to boost your business to get leads, inbound leads. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, I believe that Google My Business is the most underrated marketing tool you can use. I think people are finally catching on. It's becoming more popular. I've seen, but back when when I first started the company, I had absolutely zero budget for marketing. Google My Business is a free tool. It's specifically great for local businesses, and it just allows you to be findable. It's just by having a Google My Business and optimizing that profile for them allows you to be found by people searching like event staff, for example. So for my niche, I definitely made sure I ranked for event staff. If you look up my company now and you're in LA, you type in the word event staff anywhere in LA, I will be number one organically and also number one through Google My Business. So just Google places certain things on top, depends on relevancy based off the search term. So you definitely want to rank on Google My Business for your relevant search terms because they generally prioritize their own tools above everyone else's content. So even if you rank number one organically and you don't rank number one on Google My Search, then you basically, or even if you're one organically, you're still going to be underneath the Google tool of Google My Business. So that's an extremely important tool that everyone should set up right away when they first start a business. It's vital, especially for local businesses or businesses that are on a budget.
Cool. Could you tell us a bit more about your interactions with A-list celebrities? I'm sure a lot of people love to hear about star gossip.
Yeah. So, for example, that first big Oscars after party I did, that was a fun one. Like I said, no phones. I think they had our entire team sign NDAs. These type of events usually require that. Just we've also done events for actually we used to do all events for the Smiths, Will Smith, Jada Smith, Willow, Jaden Smith, all the Smith family before the big mishap that happened at the what was that? Was it the Golden Globes where he went up and slapped Chris Rock? So prior to that that event, we did all of their birthdays. We did what is her name? Willow Smith's 21st birthday. We did Jada's 50th birthday, Will Smith, like every single event for them. And again, they all require NDAs.
So you're
They
not in
don't
transgression of your NDA by naming that you worked for them?
No, not for that part.
All
What
right.
takes place at the event, we can't disclose what's happening at the event. We knew who the clients were prior to the NDA being signed. That was disclosed, so I think I'm safe there. um,
And
but
were you there at the party yourself? Were you,
yes, I went to majority of them. Not the smaller ones, but majority of them. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the events are fun. People are letting loose. They're definitely enjoying themselves like everyone else does. And they're able to do that because they feel they're in a safe space because everyone else is similar to them. They're on the same social circle, and there's no cameras, no paparazzis, none of this stuff, no phones. So yeah, they're fun. It's just like everyone else having fun that but all celebrities basically. So they're pretty cool.
right, great. So tell us about your business in numbers.
So like revenue wise, is that what you're referring to?
No, just number
Employee
of
size?
employees or subcontractors, number of parties, number of years.
Yeah, so I can share the top line. So revenue the past 2 years we've hit 950,000 to $1 million, $2 million. Uh, we've kind of been stuck there because we've been focusing on like I said earlier, the luxury event staffing niche, and that can grow and will grow organically, but I do think the total addressable market for this niche is not extremely big, and there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of companies that do this, and so it's like everyone just has a small slice of a small pie, basically. So what I've been focusing on in the past this year actually is branching out of that, expanding on this business. We still our core business. This is where we come from. This is what we're branded for. This is what we're known for. But now we're starting to expand. We're starting to expand out and doing these larger, longer term events, whether they're festivals, live events, sports games, or these seasonal pop-ups like the Messi experience. There's a bunch of different types of pop-ups that happen 3 to 6 months. They can be like pop-up museums. I think like Van Gogh had like a Starry Night in Hollywood. That was one thing we bid for. But basically, these types of seasonal things is what we're focusing on. They're longer term. These contracts are all 6 figures plus, 6 to 7 figures. So this is a niche that we're focusing on. This is will allow us to expand, and the market for this is significantly bigger, right? We want to get into the stadiums, sports games, and stuff like this. This is our goal basically to get to. So we're basically starting to go in that direction, and we basically just added on like crowd management and security. That way we have the ability to actually get these and win over these contracts, basically. So that's where we are. We do have 700 employees nationally on our roster, and that's going to quickly go up. We are actually we just launched this new tier basically, and it starts June 1st. So starting June 1st, like we are like our recruitment process is just at full capacity, and we are basically nationally able to staff any event. So we will be in every city nationally, and we have the resources to basically provide our staff that are trained and experienced to basically fulfill these events.
Great, great. Well, congratulations again. Could you tell us a bit about the importance of intellectual property protection in California for an American business? Do you feel have you ever actually encountered situations where your intellectual property was endangered by some sort of infringement, bootlegging?
Yeah, so basically, intellectual property is extremely important because other companies will definitely come in and have basically confuse your potential customers or existing clients, and reach out to them and try to earn their business. So having your again, this goes back to the domain and the brand name and so forth. It's like you need to have all that match, so it's harder for people to infringe on your brand or your intellectual property, and so it doesn't confuse clients. So that's actually, this kind of goes right back to having the important domain, right? Because if you're emailing people and you have your brand domain, like yourbrand.com, it's clear cut. This is who you are. An email from any other name or domain that's not exactly your brand.com, it's like it's going to be considered spam or someone's whatever. So basically, intellectual property is extremely important for my company specifically. It is challenging to basically own the word premier because there's a premier everything in every industry. And it's actually kind of funny. A lot of my competitors, they all use the word premier staffing, not premier staffing, but the premier agency or whatever. They use the word premier everywhere on their websites. And that's also part of the reason why I know like the brand was definitely the best choice name that we got. But yeah, it's a challenge for us. There is other premier staffing agencies that are not in our niche, or there's like premier event rentals, and like you continue to see more and more pop up. But it's just there's nothing we can do about it except own the best domain possible for us, and it's challenging. So that's why I do suggest and recommend every single person that has a company that doesn't have the most common word possible, like we do, to definitely trademark it and own that. I do know in the state of California, and if you file your entity with the state, no one else can have the exact same name as you. So we are Premier Staff Inc. No other company can be Premier Staff Inc. It's just it's not possible. And if there is, we can file something with the state, and they'll be forced to remove it or change it. So yeah, it's a challenge for us, but definitely encourage and recommend other people to get their stuff trademarked as much as possible. Yeah, Google, Microsoft, their Outlook, basically, they're significantly increasing their security and filtering, and it is becoming significantly more difficult to spam people. That's also another important thing is with your domain is setting up the proper servers with your your email servers, and making sure that both Google and Microsoft rank you as safe because it's everything's becoming stricter. So if you're a new company and you're starting, you will be waived as spam unless you set things up correctly up front. It's not like you can just organically just start emailing people and then you won't be marked, you won't be marked, you increase your reputation, you won't be marked spam. You will be marked spam first. So you have to set things up so that way you're not spam. For example, your DMARC, you want to warm up your emails possibly. And so that way these servers start to realize you have reputation and it's positive, and you actually get deliverability when you send invoices or any emails to your clients. It will populate, it will go into the spam folder if you don't set this up right away. So I do know that's an important one. Google did a big update a few months ago. So that's a huge one. That both actually Microsoft and Google did updates this year at the beginning of the year for the emails. So,
all right.
Protect your brand with Trademarkia. Register your trademark on trademarkia.com.